Oui, bonjour. Aujourd'hui, je veux mon ami Raphael Pothin. Oh, my French has failed me on the last name there. I was hoping to just go down the introduction with French. Maybe I
It was
should train
perfect.
more.
It was perfect. Don't worry.
Maybe I should train more. But yeah, man, this is so awesome. Today we have Raphael. He every time people ask me about GitHub and Power Platform, there is no other person that I remember. So you are the first name in my mind, and he's going to show us ALM using GitHub Actions. So ALM for Power Platform using GitHub Actions. So Raphael, floor is yours. Thank you so much, my friend, for donating time to this. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. I will share my screen. Try to find the right one. Oh, perfect. I will just take this one. Sorry. Oh, it's not a good one. I missed. I'm sorry for that. And I will be good now. Do you see my screen?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, hi everyone, I'm Raphael Pothin. I'm a Microsoft BizApps MVP since a bit more than 1 year now. And I love Power Platform and also everything around DevOps. So it's why I'm here today, I guess. Um, and you can find me on all the major social media. So you can add me if you want, and we could have a chat anytime uh, around these topics. So just to introduce this session and the next one, because I'm lucky I have 2 sessions with you during this event. Um, Today it will be an introduction. So I would say the beginner class. And next week we will do perhaps more advanced stuff. And to be able to have everything on the same page, I wanted to start with some basics around GitHub first. And then we will start to introduce a bit how some Power Platform features can help us work with GitHub. So, GitHub, I don't know if you can raise your hand and show me if you are already using GitHub or if you already used GitHub sometime. If you can raise your hand so I can understand a bit in the audience who here is, okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we say 50% of the people in the room are used to GitHub. So GitHub is an amazing platform to do everything around managing your code and getting your code from dev to production. So it's kind of a similar platform as Azure DevOps. So if you are using Azure DevOps today, you can be used too quickly to GitHub. And here I will just show you in a few seconds how you can sign for free into GitHub and create an account and start to play. So I will just start the process because I don't have a fake, I would say, email address to do it. But here you are on the github.com page. You have amazing presentations and things like that. And the sign-up process is really interesting. So you will be guided into the process with kind of interaction to, to, to tell you what you need to do, what information you need to provide if it wants to work. But it seems like when you are in a demonstration, it does not work as expected, obviously. Here you will have a small text telling you you need to enter your email. I would just try to refresh that, but okay. I hope GitHub is not down for a GitHub demonstration. It would be sad. Um, so when you go to GitHub and you go to the sign up page, you will have a small introduction and you will provide your email address and password and things like that. So you will be able to create an account for free. And then you will be able to start playing. Oh, nice. So here you just enter your email address, you click on continue, and you will be in few steps, good to go to use GitHub. So we will go through few slides and a few small demonstration around what you can do with GitHub. So the first thing is that you can store your configurations for Power Platform solutions, the low code, no code part, I would say, and also all your code. So for PCF components, plugins for the Dataverse backend code, everything like that, you can put this into a Git repository inside GitHub. And create, okay, let's say it's a good one. To create a repository, when you have your account inside GitHub, you go to github.com, the home page, you will have many things. So, but the first button you will take a look to will be the new button. Okay, it's the easiest way to create a repository and to start like that. And you enter a name, description, and things like that. I want just to show you that there are also other way to, if I can copy some code, but I will not be able to do that, obviously. Can go to the COE starter kit repository, for example. COE, no, don't want. Difficult today. Okay. COE starter kit, an amazing repository. So you will have it here. And inside this repository, you have a button here. You can fork the repository. So it's another way to start to work with GitHub. So you will start from an existing project, an existing repository, and try to make some improvements, corrections, and then propose this improvements, correction to the main repository, I would say. And it's how you contribute in the open source world. Another way to do that is also to go from a template. So for example, here I created one project template, for example, and you can do a little bit the same. So you can create a new repository from this template. The main difference from the fork option is that you will not have a link with the origin of your process. So it will be a standalone, I would say, repository, but you will get everything that has been already added to the template. If I come back here to my blank option, just create a new repository from start, and I would say live, okay, and provide a description. You have two options here, public or private, depending on if you want to show your work to the rest of the world or if you want to do it privately. You can click on add a README file. README files are great to provide some documentation, some explanations around what you are doing in GitHub. Git ignore are a mechanism to prevent some push or commit of specific files to your repository. For example, files with some configuration you want to keep local. Licenses, it's about open source licenses, so it's a huge topic. I don't know everything about the open source licenses, but my easiest go is the MIT license, and then you can create your repository. Here we are. It's really quick. You have a repository. You can start to work. Inside repositories, like in Azure DevOps, like any Git-based repository solution, you will have commit history. You will have branches. You can create in GitHub releases. So it's a way to have versions of your work, and it will also create tags. So many mechanisms that are all available in multiple Git solutions. So back to my presentations. Next part is the organization of your work. Inside GitHub, you can create issues, you can organize that in milestones, in projects. So it's a good way to organize a little bit everything you are doing. It's easy, it's a tab inside your repository, and you can create an issue, enter a name, first issue, some comments, description. You have labels, so you can add, you can say it's a documentation, for example. You can assign it to yourself or someone else working with you. And here you have two other things, projects and milestones. And when you submit your issue, you have a way to follow the work and add some comments, so you will have a thread of discussion around the work you're doing inside the issue. The new great thing about the new version of the project inside, and it seems that I don't have where on me though, okay. Here you can create the new version of the project. Create introduction. And here you will have a project. So one way to add issues and organize issues. So for example, here I have a view, so I can add things. I can also add some columns that are available inside my issues object, I would say. You can save your views, you can group your work by status, by labels if you want. Many options here. And you can also use a board like that and move your things around. So it's a great way to work and to organize your work. You have another thing. You have templates. You can build templates. Okay, I'll refresh this one so you can. You have templates you can configure to have an easy experience for people coming to your repository to create issues for bugs or things like that. So you can configure templates, and they will have a kind of form experience when they will submit an issue. So it will be easier, so they will know which information you are expecting and things like that. Back here, next step, security and quality. It's a really important topic if you are in open source projects and if you are in enterprise projects. So keep in mind that your open source work can be used by companies and enterprise later. So you need to be careful with the quality and the security inside your code, so you can drive a better adoption of your work or libraries you can build inside GitHub. Here I have an example of a project I created from a template provided, I think, by GitHub to showcase these capabilities. So you have two different parts. You have the code scanning part, where it's everything around quality, but also security. Here you have an example of hard-coded credentials, and we know that we should not push inside repositories credential. It's really bad. So here you will have examples of these issues, and you will also sometimes have a way to correct these issues directly from this kind of alerts. And with the depend.bot feature inside GitHub, you will have visibility of the dependencies, libraries, NuGet packages for .NET Code, for example, or NPM packages too. You will be able to see some issues regarding, okay, you don't have the right version of a package, or the version you are using had a security issue, so you should upgrade. And the last part here, I think there is a dependency graph. So you are able to see all the components, all the dependencies you have with other projects reference project, I would say. So from my point of view, it's a really important part, but not used as much as it should in open source projects sometimes. So we should be careful and improve this part. Okay, here it starts to be interesting, and for us, because we will want to automate our work, our development process. We want to automate that using GitHub, just like we do in Azure DevOps, for example. And for that, we'll use GitHub Actions. GitHub Actions are, we say, the equivalent of tasks inside Azure DevOps. And we'll combine these GitHub Actions into what we called GitHub Workflows. So I will try to create a simple one with you, a kind of hello world GitHub Actions. And I will use some tricks because we are not here to watch me code. So I click here in my new repository, go in Actions tab, and here you have many options. So if you want to start from templates provided by the community or by GitHub, you can use one of these templates. I don't think today there are Power Platform templates, but I'm perhaps wrong directly here. Perhaps in the future, it would be great. So we will start with a simple workflow. We'll erase all that because we don't want to keep it. I will try to take some code, expecting it will work just like that, and we will quickly go through what it does. So you have the name of your GitHub workflow. I will change the name of this file too, Hello World. We will have an input. So here, this is the name of the trigger we will use. So it's a manual GitHub workflow. So you can, it's the same that Cloudflow you will trigger manually inside the Power Platform. So, and we will have only one input inside this workflow. It's your name. I added a run name using the input. It will be the name of the run of the GitHub workflow itself. And then everything is organized inside jobs. So here I have only one job, Hello World. I will use a provided compute and using Ubuntu latest version. And then I have only one simple step. I will run the write host command using PowerShell core. So that's all. And you can see here that the GitHub workflows are saved under a specific path. So .github./workflows. And we will commit that. We should definitely use a better commit message and things like that, but it's not the goal of our demonstration. And here, if I go to Hello World, you select the branch you have because you can have different versions of your workflows. And I will say, Raphael, hoping it will work. Cross fingers, because demo gods. And at some point it will arrive. Okay, so here, just like I've mentioned, you have the run name. So it used my input, Raphael, and I have a GitHub workflow run called Hello World Raphael. And here it's my job, Hello World. And if I go under that, I will have my only step, the PowerShell step. And I will be able to go like that and see that I have Hello World Raphael. Okay. I'm trying, I will close that here because I don't know if I'm missing some discussion. It seems I don't have question for now, so it's great. From my point of view, the main difference between Azure DevOps pipelines and GitHub workflows is that Azure DevOps pipelines are for everything around CI/CD. So it's focused on your code, on your repository, So you have events like when I have a commit inside a branch, I'm able to trigger some actions. If I have, I don't know, you have manual pipelines too, but it's focused on your repository and your code. And if you take a look here inside GitHub, it's a workflow engine, not just a pipeline. So you can do more things from my point of view because you have triggers on issues. If you create an issue, you can trigger a GitHub workflow. If you create a pull request, you can trigger a GitHub workflow. If you close a pull request, you can trigger a GitHub workflow. And it's, from my point of view, it's more powerful and you can do more automation around your repository, staying inside GitHub. Okay, presentation. Woo! Okay, I'm on time, almost. I will make a small pause here. Do you have some questions around, I would say, the GitHub parts, the basics I presented? Any question? No?
I don't. Let me check the
No, in the chat,
chat.
I don't see questions, but if you want to unmute and ask a question, you can. On the GitHub part, we'll move to the next one now, but I let some
Yeah,
time.
it looked good. I think the explanation was really good.
Great. So the goal of this lesson and the next one is to cover Power Platform ALM with GitHub. And for now, we talked only about GitHub capabilities. How can we now use what we have seen inside GitHub and use that for the Power Platform development experience? From my point of view, there are two main mechanisms we need to understand. CLI, Power Platform CLI, and the next one will be GitHub Actions. So what is CLI? I will try to give you my understanding of what is CLI. CLI is a way to interact with systems, so local systems or other systems, and using a terminal and pushing commands inside your terminals. So you have commands without parameters, like you can see here, ls command, where you will have the list of things you can find inside a folder on your system. And you will have the cd something command, allowing you to move to another part of your system, a folder, from one folder to another folder, from one folder to a subfolder, for example. So this is the simple explanation I have for you regarding command line interface. Because, yeah, I didn't mention CLI is for command line interface. And we are lucky because Microsoft is, I would say, heavily investing inside command line interface solutions. And we have one for Power Platform. And you can do many, many, many things with the Power Platform CLI. Not everything, but many things. And you will have commands around solutions. For example, here you can see pack solution export, allowing you to export a solution from a Power Platform environment to a local folder, I would say. Pack solution unpack to convert your zip file you got from Power Platform into something more understandable. So folders, files, things like that. And for example, another example, the pack solution create settings, allowing you to create a deployment settings file for connection references configuration and also environment variable configurations. But it's a small example of what you can do. And we will switch to terminal to do some command executions, I would say. The first thing I will do, I will clone this repository we just created locally on my system. So for that, we will use another CLI, the GitHub CLI, and it's very simple, gh repo to interact with repositories inside GitHub and clone. Okay, and I will do the name of my profile and the name of my repository. And after that, if I remembered correctly the command, I now have my repository I created with you earlier. We'll go to this repository, here a little bit command palette, and take a look. And the only things we have is the README file, the license file for the open source MIT license we used creating the repository, and the .github file containing everything around your Git repository and things like that. Don't touch too much to this repository for now. We'll see that next week. So now I want to create a new folder inside this space to store solutions. Okay. Oh, I'm set. To use the Power Platform CLI tool, you can discover the capabilities using pack help, if I'm not missing. Okay, so here you will see everything you can do currently with the pack CLI. So you have an admin module where you can work with environments and things like that. You can work with application. Here you will have auth to manage your connections to environments, canvas, and what we will use here, the main part will be solution. Okay, so if we do clear this one, back solution help to discover a little bit what we can do, many things. Init to create a new solution locally. So you can have this development flow if you want. You create your solution locally. It will be an empty solution, and then you push it to a Power Platform dev environment to start to work. It's one way to do it. I'm not sure many people are doing that right now, but it's one option. You have obviously import, export solution. But for this demonstration, I will use the pack solution clone command. Can you raise your hand or make a thumbs up if you already use the clone feature around solution? Raise your hand, thumbs up. No one? Okay, so I will show that to you. Again, I don't want to make you wait. So I will just show you that I'm already connected to an environment. So pack outputs give you all the connections you have. I didn't open my environment, so I'll just open it on the side. Please. So waiting for make.powerapps.com. So I have an environment I'm using some little bit. Oh, I am on the right solution. Great. So I created a solution for this demonstration already inside an environment with just a choice component, a really simple one. And we will export this solution from my Power Platform development environment to my local folder using just one command. Okay. That here. So the pack solution clone command, I specify here the name of my solution inside my environment and an output directory. So, yeah, I'm good. I select also unmanaged and managed for this export. You have many options here. You can use unmanaged only, both, or just manage, but it's more strange from my point of view. I specify that I want the clone operation to be asynchronous. So it will try to take a look each time if it's already done or not waiting. And the last one, I use this option, but I don't have Canvas apps for now inside my solution. It will unpack a Canvas apps directly inside my folder. I will not have an .msapp file inside my export, just the unpacked version of the Canvas app. And what's going on when you run this command? It will export the solution, but it will also unpack your solution. So you just, by using one command, you have both steps already done. So from my point of view, it's great. I really like this new way to handle things. So we'll wait a little bit. Okay, here we already have the unmanaged solution exported. Just after that, we will have the managed solution exported. And now unpacked. Okay, so here, because we have many things here, we'll go back here, solutions, the name of my solution, and we will take a look to what we have inside this folder. And for people who are used to see an unpacked solution, it's a bit strange because when you unpack a solution you exported as unmanaged, you don't have these folders. Okay. Here, the way the pack solution clones command work, it will generate the same folder organization than the pack solution init command. So it's just like you created a solution directly from your local machine, not from a Power Platform environment. And I think in the future, we will see more and more folder structure like that for solutions. But do we have our choice component inside this solution? So I go in SRC folder, check. Oh, I have an option set folder. We'll go inside option sets and take a look. So here we have my choice, and you can check here, it's the same. So we got it. That, check time, check if I don't have a question. Seems I don't have a question in the chat, so I will continue. I will go back to my root folder. No, sorry. I need to. Okay, I'm in the right place. Clear that. So, for this demonstration, I will add a new Canvas app. I will try to do it. I have some time. We can try to initialize a simple Canvas app without anything in it, just to show you the unpack process. Prefer the phone way. And if you want to ask questions, it's a good time because we are waiting a little bit. Oh, seems pretty quick. Okay, can add a label. I will not go crazy. Oh, should have come here. Where do I? Okay, save. Save and publish. Will it work just like that? Hope so. This is a new command bar inside Canvas apps. I have seen the news, but I should have tried before doing that inside the demonstration. Are you sure you want to leave? Okay, don't leave. Well, just check. I have my app inside my solution. Okay. environment. We have a Canvas app. I hope so. Yeah, we have a Canvas app. So I'm able to leave, because I have my Canvas app. I will change the version of my solution just to be clean. Refresh, because okay, I have it here. Manually update the version. No change. Okay. Oh, if I go back here, I will take command. And here, again, we'll use a command perhaps you never used. It will be the pack solution sync. So I have nothing really interesting to specify here. Just I'm in my solution folder locally, and I will say, okay, I want the last version you have inside my Power Platform environment. So it's the right place. I'm able to run this command. It will get the last thing I've done. The last thing I've done, so the Canvas app should be in my folder and unpacked, because I've added here the flag process Canvas app. So I don't want an MSF file inside my folder. I just want the unpacked version. Yeah, it's really difficult to follow everything. So here it's easy for me to present this kind of tools because it's my main focus, but yeah, impossible to follow all the new shiny things.
I think it all makes sense though. I mean, looking at this, um, I have a question, but I think I'll
Yeah,
leave it for the end
yeah,
because for
sure.
me, it's more the driving decision. I know that a lot of the choices are related to the project itself, whether to use GitHub or to use DevOps for some of these operations, but I'll leave that.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's a whole discussion itself. So here I'm the root part of my solutions folder. I will go here, and we should have a Canvas app part. Oh, we have a Canvas app. Great. Um, and just like I mentioned, we should not have a MSApp file here. We should have something a little bit different. And here we are. We have MSApp file because we keep that. I don't know why, but we have other files and we have a SRC folder. And here it's the name of my Canvas app, so I can also go here. And here you will have all the subfolders you can have to build, I would say, a Canvas apps. And the last step will be to push that to my Git repository. So as you can see here, my terminal knows that I'm in a Git repository, so I will just for example, add everything that changed. Okay, and I will perhaps. I could do better than that. Okay, because it's okay. I could have done another folder, but I prefer to be here. If I do a git status, I see that I have all the solutions folder that is not in my Git repository. So I can say I want to add everything that had changed here. And do another git status to see, okay, I have all these files that are new, not in my repository and only present in my local folder. And I will do a commit new solution, for example. And here is a boring part because I have a kind of a security on my GitHub account that will prompt me for a password. So I will not end this part, and we will see here. So here, if another security feature I did not talk about, you can sign your commits. So you can configure your laptop and be able to have all your commit verified. So when you will go in GitHub, you will have the, I would say, the name of the person who have done the commit. But I will cancel this part because I need to find my password. Oh, it's the end for the demonstration, and I need to find my PowerPoint. And why did I talk about Power Platform CLI? Because Power Platform GitHub Actions and also now Power Platform build tools inside Azure DevOps are built on top of Power Platform CLI. So if you follow what is changing inside the Power Platform CLI, you can guess what's coming inside GitHub Actions and inside Power Platform build tools. So it's a great way to prepare for the next steps of automation tools at Microsoft. Platform Actions, GitHub, Microsoft, Power Platform Actions. So just like I've mentioned, talking about GitHub workflows and everything around automation in GitHub, you need what we call GitHub Actions to build your automation inside GitHub. And Microsoft created a great repository, and Microsoft teams are building actions to interact with Power Platform. So you will have things for environments, just like inside the pack CLI commands. So backup environment, I think there is a create environment somewhere. Here, create environment, delete environment, so you can do amazing stuff. You have everything around solutions. So obviously import solution and export solution here. So you will find almost the same things you have inside Power Platform CLI, you will find the equivalent inside GitHub Actions. And if you want to explore a little bit how it's done and understand how you can use an action, you can open the right folder. There is only one file inside each folder. And here you will have all the inputs you can pass inside your GitHub workflow to use the import solution action. So for example, you will have obviously the environment URL. If you want to use username, password, you can, but I encourage you to use app ID and client secrets and tenant ID. Then other components like activate plugins, because here we are in import solution, force override, skip dependency check, many different inputs you can use to import your solutions directly from GitHub into your environment. Checking the time because I want to leave some time for the question. So I will stop here, and the next week we'll go through how we can use directly these GitHub actions you have seen inside GitHub workflows. So today I've shown you the manual process, even using GitHub. So you can, it's perfectly fine to do that. You can create a repository inside GitHub, do your manual steps inside your local folder and push changes inside GitHub. It's the first step, I would say, to understand the mechanisms. And the next steps from my point of view is how to automate all this process. And we will see that next week. Okay.
Awesome. Does anybody in the chat have questions? I don't wanna steal the thunder. Okay, so we have a comment here from Cheryl. Do you want to unmute yourself and maybe provide more color to the comment, Cheryl, or should I just read it?
No, that was really about when Raphael's talking about the new drop down in the maker portal. Things change, things change, and sometimes you're just not aware because you haven't necessarily just picked up that change is about to happen. And yeah, it's there's just so much going on all the time, right? It's as Raphael said, it's difficult. You can't be the master of all trades, right? You can't be an expert in everything, so some things you have to just give up a little bit. But Raphael, I just want to say what I'm going to do is I'm going to work through what you've shown us this week, and so I will probably have questions for you next week, if that's okay.
Sure. Oh, sure. I will try to, because I think perhaps many people will do the same. They will digest what I've shown today and they will discover a little bit more next week. So I will try to leave perhaps more time for questions next week for both sessions. So it's perfectly okay.
Perfect, thank you.
And Victor, perhaps just before the question, I just want to mention that this manual process I've shown you today, for the preparation of some sessions, for example, I'm using this development flow because I'm preparing a GitHub repository for a demonstration to an event or things like that. I don't want to build a specific GitHub workflow for that. I will just use the pack.cli commands just to store my solution and manage inside my repository to be able to reuse my demonstration assets, I would say, another time if I need to. So it's perhaps a manual flow, but from my point of view, even in some scenarios, it can be a useful one.
Oh yeah, no, for sure, for sure. So the questions I had was more around a tool versus the other. I mean, you alluded to this setup works great for open source projects, and it does. I mean, if you go to DevOps, you have licensing, and you have most of the projects. I just use my own Visual Studio subscription to offset the cost on the customer side. But if you have a large number of developers, yeah, it adds up pretty quick. But is there any other reason that you see people leaning more towards GitHub, just GitHub, than
Azure DevOps.
DevOps? Yeah.
Um, For example, on my side, I'm using Azure DevOps at work because we have Azure DevOps and it's the one we are currently using. Perhaps it will change tomorrow when we will use GitHub, but currently we are using Azure DevOps. But for my personal open source project, I'm using full GitHub, okay? Because I like the platform and all the features I've shown you, I like that. But if you take a close look to, for example, the COE starter kit, currently they are mixing both platforms, if I'm not wrong, and Mike will correct me somewhere if I'm wrong. The configuration code of the COE starter kit is stored in a GitHub repository. I've shown you earlier in the session, but they still have some Azure DevOps pipeline running and linked to their GitHub repository. So currently it's not one or the other. I would say it depends on your scenarios and what you are doing, where you are doing it, and things like that. Both are valid options. Both are the only platforms that have Microsoft managed toolset to use with Power Platform. So Power Platform Actions and Power Platform Build tools. But you can even consider other DevOps or CI/CD platforms because with the Power Platform CLI, you can use that inside any platform. So it's a classic question for the "it depends" answer. But from an open source perspective, I would say that if you want to build and to learn in front of internet and in front of the community, GitHub is a great way to do that because if you take a look at my repository, for example, you will have my code configuration, you will have my workflows code inside the repository you can take a look at. You will have my issues, so my backlog is available for everyone. I think the security part is only available for repository maintainers, but you can build things in front of the community, and it's a great way for me to do that. And in Azure DevOps, it's a little bit different because even if you make your repository public in Azure DevOps, I don't even know how people can discover it. So I hope it will answer your question, Victor.
Yeah, I don't think people can see it. Uh, I think even public it's past authentication, so it's different from GitHub in that sense.
I think because GitHub has an Azure AD integration, uh, so I think from an authentication perspective, it can work if you have a Microsoft account. Obviously, you will perhaps need to have some configurations on the GitHub side, and it's a little easier perhaps on Azure DevOps side, but
All right. Well, that was the question I had. So this is good stuff. I think I'll join Cheryl on that exercise. Make sure that I'm up to speed when we come back next week.
yeah, I think it's a good exercise for everyone if you have the time. If you don't have a GitHub account, create one. It's free. Create your first repository and just try to the things I've shown. For example, using the Power Platform CLI and exporting a solution and pushing it to your repository. If you are able to do that, you will be in a really good position for the next week session.
Very good. All right. Anybody else has question, comments, concerns? All right.
I think it was all very straightforward, but we'll see. We'll see how well I get on.
I had some code prepared, so perhaps it seems straightforward, but for example, if you try the pack CLI commands, sometimes it's difficult to understand what's expected behind some parameters, but as the documentation is here, and also use the pack help command, so you can discover a little bit what how you can use the pack CLI commands.
It looks very good when it's done by yourself, Raphael. When you try it the first time.
Yeah,
I was gonna say that it looks easy.
yeah, it seems perhaps easy, but because it's what I'm doing every night, spending some time in GitHub with Power Platform, so I'm used to it. But even with that, I had my commands and my code prepared because, with demonstration, I did not want it to just try to remember all the commands because you can obviously miss one. But um, the great thing with GitHub is that most part of the features are free, so everyone can try. And if you combine that with a Microsoft 365 developer license environment or just a Power Platform developer environment, you can start to explore these processes and this way of working.
All right. Well, let me try to do this. I don't know who is in the call who's willing to do um, a screenshot of their beautiful faces. If you have cameras and if you can turn it on, we can do that. And Raphael was gonna ask you if you could stop sharing so we get a little bit more space here.
Sure, sure.
That'd be great. Andre's here. Mala's here. Anybody else wants to be on camera? All right, the dynamic duo right here, Gushan
Oh,
and Pranav,
Hey, Cheryl, good to see you after a long
Victoria.
time.
I know, it's lovely to see you, Raj. You look really well.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, let me do this on a count of three, and hopefully I'll do it the first time right. Okay, one, two, three. All right, that's it. Let's see if I got it. All right, got it. Okay, everybody, thank you so much. Have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you next week. Take care. Bye bye.
yeah, thank you very
Bye.
much.